Good evening and good evening. All right, you're welcome to the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. And we're broadcasting here from Oniru in Victoria Island. And guess who is in the house with me? The most important human being walking the face of this planet. And that's I think she's the most beautiful person on this planet. Her name is Dr. Azuka Onyia, my co-host. I'm sure she gets a bit tired of me just talking about her all the time, right? Onyia, are you there?
Yes, good evening. I needed to turn off the...
Are you getting cold or what?
No, it's making too much noise.
Right.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening to all our listeners from all over the world.
Yeah.
I want to start by appreciating all the men. It was the International Men's Day on Tuesday, November 19th. And, for me, it's International Men's Week.
All right.
So, although every day is a man's day, but, they've given you guys...
Who said that? Who said every day is a man's day?
Who said that?
You.
So, yeah, we.
Who's the we?
All of us.
Oh, my God.
So, here is shout out to all the men, all our listeners from all over the world, in Lagos, in Enugu, in Port Harcourt, in Ife, in Maiduguri, in Jos, from outside the country, in Atlanta, in Chicago.
Yeah, all the way to Chicago.
In the UK, in Canada, wherever you are, all over the world, we say welcome to this awesome show.
Yeah, I don't want to forget my people in Los Angeles, right? LA, you're welcome to the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. Special shout out to my people over there, right? You're all welcome to the show, and to the men out there. Yes, I'm a man. This is a week where we celebrate ourselves. And, it's really, really great that we take out one day to honor the men, right, in our lives, right? And that's what we're going to do on the show today. The purpose of this show, if you're joining us for the first time, it's the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. And the reason why we come every Friday, 7 p.m. West African time, is to, talk about real life issues, right? And hopefully, change one life, change one family at a time. And today on the show, we're just going to talk about men. We're going to celebrate men, all over the world, right? So let's jump right in, I think when I think about my dad, he's not here anymore. The late Chikezie Marigold, George Jude Onyia. My father was a great man. He was a great man. And I miss, I think, and I tell you this, my dear wife, all the time, not all the time, once in a while, I miss my dad, Sometimes I just wonder, I wish he were here. And I just want to kind of rub minds with him. He was a great man. Daddy was sacrificial. He loved his family to death. He used to call me, he would write me, even my dad, he would write me letters. He was a great guy. He would write letters and he would say, to my golden boy, Chike Onyia. He used to call me boy. In my family, they call me boy, right? I don't know why. Boyo boy. Somebody gave me that nickname when I was born, Boyo boy. So they call me boy Chike. And so my dad would write to my golden boy, Chike. He thought I was golden. You know what I'm saying?
Let me bust your bubble. All these kids were golden.
That's okay, man. My dad didn't discriminate, right? He had 6 of us. But I want to start the show today by celebrating my father. I celebrate my father-in-law as well, the late Chief, another great man, Chief Anekwe. His first name, Morris. Yes?
Charles.
Eh?
Charles.
Oh, Charles? They had Morris there?
Maxwell.
No. Oh, Maxwell, that's right. Yes, Charles Maxwell Anakwe. And what was his title? I want to make sure I don't, because the Abatete people may be listening. I don't want to get that wrong. He was a chief. What was his title?
Okutalukwe.
Okutalukwe. Wow. Great man, always dressed finely, really classy gentleman. And I miss him too. He was, one thing I like about my daddy-in-law, he's very humorous. He would joke about almost, maybe you got that from him. You like to joke as well. So I want to celebrate these two great men who are not here with me anymore. Great influence in my life. And that's where I want to start the show, right? Yeah. My fathers, my father and my father-in-law, right? Good place to start, innit?
Yes, they were great men. We have lots of other great men in our lives that are still alive.
Yeah.
Starting with my older brother, Dr. Charles. He's a great brother, great older brother, always been there for us, there to give advice. He also has a fantastic sense of humor.
Yeah, he's
and he's a no stress express.
Yes, he is.
My brothers Pat and Maurice, shout out, and then our sons, Chike Junior and Chidera is International Men's Day, or a Men's and Boys Day.
Yeah, is it a boys' day? Some
yes,
are boys,
Men and Boys Day. So,
right.
Shout out to them. Shout out to my brother-in-law Izu. He's a wonderful guy. My brother-in-law Dr. O.C. Shout out to him as well. All my nephews, so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
Should we begin to call their names?
Well, too many of them, right? There's so many of them. It'll take up the whole show trying to call everybody's name. But shout out to all the boys to men in the Onyia and the Anakwe clan. Want to celebrate you guys today, right?
As I was thinking about International Men's Day and the men that have been in my life and how impactful they've been, personally for me as a woman, I've had very positive experiences with men,
Good for you.
I mean, I'm married to the best of the best, the most wonderful husband any girl can ask for. My friend, my soulmate, my gist body, my, what will I even say, Seth? You are just everything to me.
You won't do sugar in your tea, eh?
No, I don't drink. I don't put sugar in my tea. The only tea in my hot water.
Oh my God.
So I've just had very positive experiences with the men that have been in my life. My dad was a wonderful dad. He didn't care whether you were male or female, treated all his kids, the same, so there was no discrimination. My father-in-law, of course, he was at some point I even asked him, Dad, remember that I'm not your child, not your biological child.
Yeah.
He was such a wonderful father-in-law. My siblings, even my co-workers, my classmates, just all the men in my life, really, they've been very supportive.
Yeah.
And have influenced me a lot. And generally for me as a woman, I get along very well with guys. So I'm very happy from the depths of my heart to celebrate all you wonderful men that are in my life. And I just wish you guys a more fruitful and healthy year ahead. So this Men's Day is talking about men's health, and it's very it's just very important for men to take care of themselves and take care of their health for so many reasons. So for the rest of the show, we'd like to talk about why men's health is important and the key areas that men need to, look into as they consider their health. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, first thing is for men, the older you get, that annual checkup is so important. Because if you look at it globally, you look at the lifespan of a man, the average man, what is it? I mean, women tend to live longer. And it begs the question, why? Why do men, some men die, earlier than, say, their wives, right? What happens? Why is that? Why is the lifespan, the average lifespan of a man shorter? Why is it not the same at minimum? Why can't men and women live, for the same number of years? And what informs that? And I think men's health is very important. A lot of men, I'm sure many men don't really pay attention as much as they ought to. And the reason is very simple. We're hustlers. We're out there, man. We're working our tails off. Because from the day we're born, it's like we're running. Be a man. You're from the, you just wake up and they hit you on the bum. And men, shut up. The men don't cry. You know what I'm saying? Just get out there and go and hustle, go and make money. So the man is always out there. He's always hustling. And a lot of times, even when he's burdened or encumbered and he has things on his mind, nobody's really taught him to speak for somebody else.
So what does be a man mean?
Well, I mean, be a man simply means there's a role you play in society, and it's unforgiving, man. Nobody wants to hear stories. Ultimately, you're going to pay the bills. You're going to have family. You're expected to build a house, take care of family, pay the school fees, put food on the table, ensure people are clothed, and there's no scarcity. It's tough being a man. I can tell you, I'm a man. It's really tough. And sometimes it gets lonely at the top. Nobody to talk to. Because sometimes, even that being a man, you fear reprisal, you fear retribution, you fear that if you speak up, right, the shame, somebody's going to laugh at you. My friend, go and sit down. Why are you talking like a man? What's your own? Other men have done it, so what's your problem? So it's a lot, and it's tough for us as men. We really struggle. We really do. If men were to be honest, they would tell you how much they go through alone. Even men can't talk to other men, generally speaking. Have you ever seen two men talking? When they're talking about football, they're talking about the home in the village, they're talking about this, the business, the big deal they want to break. Have you ever heard two men sit down discussing their emotions? Have you ever heard a man say, oh boy, I'm depressed though. I get well, I did depressed. Yeah, men don't really, they don't go deep into stuff. They're on the surface, right? Women, I'm not a woman, but you can correct me if I'm wrong. But from what I know, women tend to go granular. Women they will dig in. Tell me how you feel. Tell me about the kids. Tell me. But a man will just on the surface. Oh boy, I get wala. No go lie, man. My head won't bust. The other man will say, leave matter, make we go, just take one. If I take one, you take one. Everything will just quench. They will laugh it off, man. Maybe watch a soccer game, and the guy goes home. He's like, the problem remains there. Nobody to talk to, right? Anyway, you asked me a question. What does it mean to be a man? I hopefully I've captured a bit of that.
So what I'm getting from what you're saying is being a man is to be silent.
It's not
and just do what you're supposed to do.
Partly, yes. Don't complain. Don't whine.
So talking about what's on your mind, is that whining? Is that complaining?
Believe me, that's the way we men have understood it. That when you talk about what is on your mind, arguably, you're whining. You're like, in America we say you're like a cry baby. That's what they in the US. Man, stop being a crybaby. You know what I'm saying? They make you really look. Men, we don't suffer. Don't be smarting. Sorry for my vernacular. If you're listening from Chicago and Atlanta, LA, sorry. I'm just it's my Niger. Anyway.
So you said,
oh my God.
Men should, for starters, part of their health tip is to go for annual physicals.
I do that every year, my dear. You know that. You're my wife. Every single year, I got to go for physical. Men should go, and even early, in their teenage years, once a year, go for physical, complete physical. Check your health. Check your vitals. For starters. So that's where you must start in terms of your health. Go do a health checkup once a year. Even kids, younger men, teenagers, they come down with certain things, and if you're not careful, you would only detect that thing too late. So that's the first thing. Because of the pressures, the stress we go through and all that, we need to first ensure yearly we do a comprehensive medical checkup. The other thing I'll add to that is, if in the man's family there's a history of certain ailments, right? Your father passed away because of this.
That's if
your mother, right?
That's if you know why your parents passed away, or your grandparents.
These days, with technology and social media, Google, and
why did your grandfather pass?
No, I don't know why my granddaddy.
That's my point.
I don't know why granddaddy passed away, but I do know why my dad passed.
Yes, you know why your dad did, but you don't know why your
my granddaddy,
your granddaddy or your grandma.
I don't even know my granddad. Did I meet my granddad? I don't. I wish I did.
Granddaddy. If you look at a lot of the obituaries announcements in Nigeria,
after a brief illness,
everybody died.
In Nigeria?
After a brief illness.
Just after a brief illness.
Yes, so you just figure out that I will die of a brief illness.
My God, that's so funny.
So I think, part of that family history and checking up and all that is that we need to be vocal, and we need to be, open and transparent about certain health issues. I was at a function, last weekend with my, with some of my siblings, and, we learned that a cousin of ours had passed on, and when the cause of death was revealed, we were like, oh wow, this is important to know, because it's my first cousin. It's important to know, and we just carelessly ran into that information. So it's very important, because when you go for annual checkups, there's a form that the hospital gives you, and it asks for family history. There are the body is such a complicated structure that the tests, those basic tests that they run, and most insurances cover, are just for certain. They can only detect a handful of conditions. But if you know your family history, and you put it in that form, then if your doctor looks at it, they can narrow down the tests the specific tests that you need to do.
Right.
So let's try and ask questions. Let's try and share information as well. People always tell me, Azuka, you ask a bunch of questions. I do. Knowing questions, asking questions and knowing, information is very powerful, and it is empowering.
Right.
So if you can't just go there and they take your blood sample for the usual malaria, typhoid, that's the end. You just go home. Then after 2 months, the person will die of brief illness. But if you know your family history,
right,
not just your father and your mother, but your cousins, your aunties, your uncles, those that have a blood relationship with you from your mother's side, from your father's side.
Right.
You can devise like preventative measures to take,
right,
to make sure that you don't find yourself in those situations, as well as also checking yourself. So that's one thing men should double up on, the annual physicals. I know a man, the man actually lives in the US, and he says he's not going for any medicals. He never goes to the doctors. He says the day he dies,
Really?
Yes, he doesn't. He just believes that.
That's interesting.
Going for annual physical is a woman's thing. He said, my wife and the children go. I'm like, you, uncle. Say, no. It's not. There's nothing wrong with me.
Really?
And even one thing I found out about the Nigerian medical system is that most insurances, most health insurance in Nigeria are, they cover you when you actually come down with the disease. The health insurance is not to prevent disease.
Right.
As opposed to the health insurance of, the developed, countries, they encourage, preventative measures. So in Nigeria, you can't just go to your HMO and say, I need to check my lungs or my heart, because my grandfather died of lung cancer or something. They'll tell you, are you coughing? No. Are you breathing? They listen to you out. They say no. You have to pay out of pocket. So those,
really?
I don't know who's going to watch.
I thought they would
show.
cover the basic stuff. Maybe you start asking for something more than they ask you to pay. I know that happened to me. I wanted to do an annual here, and they came back to me, the HMO, and said, we will only pay for A, B, C, D, E. And my sister, who is a medical doctor, had written a list of tests, very comprehensive, and I sent it to them. They forwarded it to the HMO and said, we need you to cover all this. They came back and said, no, we will cover only 1, 2, 3. Right? So
Okay,
in that instance,
your sister gave you a slew of several things. I'm talking about even the basic preventative health screenings. For instance, for women, when you get to a particular age, there's what they call a pap smear, and it screens for cervical cancer, which is one of the cancers out there for women. In the US, for instance, is a basic standard, even the lowest level of HMO will cover that pap smear. But here in Nigeria, with the highest band of medical insurance that we have, they don't cover that pap smear.
Really?
Yes, the last time I did one, I had to pay out of pocket for it, which doesn't make sense. And I asked the hospital, why is the HMO not covering pap smear? They say, madam, it's when you start exhibiting symptoms.
Yeah, no.
I'm like,
that's wrong.
Then it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
So if you can afford it, and I pray that everybody listening, God will provide for you. You can afford it. Know your history. Try to screen, in advance. Live the types of lifestyles that will prevent those health conditions.
Right. So, hey, if you're joining us, welcome to the show. This is the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. I can see we have our audience. Let's say hello to the others. We're going to take a break in a minute. Lawal Halimat, good evening, man. Sir, our motto, change one life, one family at a time. Wow, Halimat knows our motto. Fantastic. And Almats, Lillian, I hope I got that. Almats, Lillian, right? We get some romance from Doctor today. Really, yeah, we do get some romance. You could see me blushing over here, right? And Lawal Halimat says, Sir Chike started blushing. Oh, like, wow. When Ma Azuka said, best of the best, sweet love, sugar in my tea. And she cracks up, man. I really love that. That's amazing. And Magdalene Maxwell says, hello, everyone. It's great to hook on again. Lillian says, represent Niger, sir. We don't mind the pigeon. America will catch on. Lawal Halimat says, family history is important in medicine because of the major role genetics play. Interesting. You're spot on. Some HMOs cover all. Some act, as doctor said, if it is a pre-existing condition like inherited diabetes or HBP.
High blood pressure.
Yeah, high blood. They don't cover. We have really poor HMO, truly. Those with full coverage spend an arm and a leg. So she says some HMOs cover all, right? I guess maybe she's had a different experience, right? Okay, well, we're going to take a 60 seconds break. And when we come back, listen, this is the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. We're talking about men today. We're celebrating men all over the world. It's International Men's Day. We'll be back in 60 seconds. Don't go anywhere.
I don't have this thing at all.
No, it's muted now. Okay. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. This is Chike Onyia here, your host on the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. It's great to be here tonight, right? And my wife, my lovely wife, Dr. Azuka Onyia, is here with me on the show. I always feel so special when I have my wife with me, you know. It's funny, I cracked a joke many years ago at some conference somewhere in Lagos, and there were like 300 people in that conference, right? And the speaker, you know, asked a question. He says, let's go around the room and somebody should tell us something we don't know about them, right? So I raised my hand and they brought the microphone to me and they said, okay, Mr. Onyia, tell us something we don't know about you. And I said to them, I'm like a fish outside water when my wife is not around. And I think you're traveled or something, right? So I was feeling alone in Lagos, lonely, miserable, right? And everybody in the room just cried. And they all know me, right? They said, old man like you, you're like a fish. I said, I'm like a fish out of water, swimming around, you know, trying to breathe, man. I'm almost going to gasping. It's like I'm going to die or peg off here in a moment, you know. And I'm like, when my wife is not here, that's the way I am. So, Annie, thank you so much for being on the show. You know, I had to beg her to co-host with me, and she agreed. So I'm always on fire when she's here with me. Thank you. You're so special. And of course, even more special today when she, you know, kind of says something sweet about me. Yeah, right? Says, I love him, my friend, my this. You're just, wow, I'm basking in it, man. You know, maybe we should do this Men's Day every day, I beg. Make her just, they go. They run, they go. Right? Oh, my gosh. Anyway, yeah, the audience. Maybe there's somebody out there you want to tell us about, a special man in your life, right? Why don't we open up the phone lines and listen to our audience? Let's get the numbers. I want to make sure I get it right. I don't take any chances now. Oh, honey, you want to tell them these numbers?
No, I have it all memorized.
Oh, you have it all? Oh, really? Okay, go ahead. I'm not, hey, you're the guru. I'm not like you, man. The other day, weeks ago, I messed it up. So now, you know, I had the team write this thing for me. So go ahead. You're spot on. What are the numbers to call?
Okay, now you've messed my head up.
You want to take this?
0916000 2661 0916000 2662, and you can send us a WhatsApp, or you can dial the WhatsApp number if you're calling from outside of the country, and that's +234 916000 2663.
Right. So let me just repeat that. 091 6000 2661, 091 6000 2662, and plus 234 91 6000 2663. Last week we got a call from my sister in California. That was really nice, very special, all the way from California, right? So yes, we're waiting for your phone calls. If there's a special man in your life you want to give a shout out to, you want to celebrate, November 19th, that was Tuesday, right? International Men's Day, celebrating men all around the world. You know, we had a different topic today, but we canceled it. We had a topic today and we said, no, we're not going to talk about that topic. We want to celebrate men today. It's a special day and we're not just going to gloss over it, you know, like that. No, we're going to celebrate men today, right?
Yeah, so, regarding men's health, I want to read some statistics.
Okay.
Especially as relates to black men. I mean, most of our listeners are black men. And it says by age 55, you know, a high percentage of black men develop high blood pressure.
Really?
So if you're 55 and above and you're a black man and you don't have high blood pressure, now you know what to be thankful for next week when it's Thanksgiving. Right?
Thanksgiving.
They're celebrating
Thanksgiving in the US.
Thanksgiving in the US next week. So,
right.
You know what. And for those who don't celebrate Thanksgiving, when you go to church on Sunday, on your quiet time, just praise God. And it says 40% of black men die prematurely from cardiovascular disease as compared to 21% of white men.
Really?
So 40% of black men die prematurely from cardiovascular diseases. You know, cardiovascular diseases are diseases that have to do with the heart, you know, the blood vessels. A lot of black men have high cholesterol, you know, because of the nature of our diet. You know, a lot of fried foods, fried chicken, dodo, akara. Fried, what, you know.
If Chidera were here, he would say pomo.
Fried pomo, fried everything. And he says 44% of black men are considered overweight and 24% are obese. You know, so these are statistics that are out there. You know, a lot of the black men that I know, right, that I work with, you know, I went to school with, are hypertensive. You know, a lot have high cholesterol. So we need to watch out for those things. How do you prevent those things? It's regular exercise. We have to be very intentional about exercise. And, you know, women out there, especially the young ladies, if your husband says he wants to go and play football with his friends, please let him go. That may be the only exercise that he's getting that week. Very important. And if possible, encourage him to play more. You know, I know our son, Chike, he's in a football league in New York, in the neighborhood where he lives in. They actually pay to play football in that league. So he told me last week when I was calling him, he said, "Oh Mom, I have a game, I'll call you after the game." I'm like, "You're always playing this stuff." He says, "Yes, we pay for it." You know, so he pays to play in that league. And, you know, I was happy he said that, you know, because it's a form of exercise, even though I know he goes to the gym, you know. So, yeah, it's good to spend time with the family and all that, but, you know, it's very important for for women to encourage the men and the boys in their lives to exercise regularly. For me, when I exercise, I think, you know, and it's best to exercise in the mornings than at night. Your whole day just goes very well, you know. So men, you know, at the beginning of the show, you said, you know, men go through a lot of stress, you know, and all that. Yes, it is true, you know, and one way to manage stress is to exercise regularly, not only when you have time.
Right.
It has to be a religious thing you do.
Yeah.
You know, at the minimum, the standard is 150 minutes a week, which is approximately 30 minutes, 5 days a week, minimum.
Yeah. Yeah. So I try to do an hour on the treadmill three times a week. So that's like 180 minutes. So I may do it on a Saturday, do it on a Monday, do it on a Wednesday, something like that, right? So that exercise, and it takes a lot of discipline to do that, because as men, we're very busy, trying to take care of our families, provide for we're tired. A lot of times we're exhausted. But like you said, you have to be deliberate about exercise. That's the second thing we want to tell men about their health. So apart from that physical checkup, you've mentioned the foods that we eat as well, preventing high cholesterol and all that. Then that exercise is paramount.
Yes, that exercise is very key. Yes, men are busy. They have to provide, but believe me, that's one of the reasons why men die earlier than their wives. Women wake up very early in the morning. They prepare breakfast. They get the kids ready for school and all that. It's a form of exercise. I see a lot of women, they go for walks. They push their baby prams as they are going for walks and all that. And the man is busy saying, "I'm busy." You'll be busy until you drop dead. So that, exercising regularly is far cheaper than popping a pill every day to lower cholesterol. Diseases like diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, clogged arteries, you can prevent all of that by regular exercise. So in Nigeria, where the prices of things have gone through the roof in recent times, so medication you used to buy like 5K is now 40K. Meanwhile, walking is free.
Right.
Rather than if you take a bus, you can stop 2 bus stops from your office.
Right.
And you can drop two bus stops from your office and walk, and tell your driver, meet me there. During lunch, you can eat quickly in 15 minutes, and then you can just take a walk.
Right.
So there are ways, if you're really consistent and disciplined, no matter how busy you are, you can make that time, because ill health is going to take a more toll on you than that consistent discipline with exercise.
Yeah, that's so true. Hey guys, if you're joining us, welcome to the show. It's the Chike Onyia Speaks show. Today we're celebrating International Men's Day. We're talking specifically about men's health. And Lawal Halimat says exercise helps build one's health and prevent lots of health conditions. Men are often viewed as strong, someone that shouldn't break down, but it's okay for a man to cry too, no matter what society says. Halimat, that one is a tough one for men. A man will just start crying. Men should cry. It's just that a lot of men don't want to cry because they fear that if they cry, somebody's going to laugh at them, man, and feel like they're weak.
Well, but that's not true.
What is not true? Which part
is not true is people laughing because a man cried. I mean, if a man cries for stupid reasons, even if it's a woman cries for stupid reasons, you get laughed at. But I watched a man on CNN earlier, I think it was last weekend. He won a golf championship. I think he's 36 years old, and that was his first golf, tournament that he was winning, and he cried all through.
Those are tears of joy.
Well, he was crying. She said, "Cry." I mean, we could have laughed at him that I mean, you won a tournament, and he cried the entire he cried the entire interview.
I get your point. I mean, he did cry, so I understand that.
So if there is something, if the man is bereaved, he's gonna cry. If he loses his job, he's gonna cry. If he lost a lot of money, it's best he cries and don't worry about anybody who is laughing
at you. That's the truth. I mean, I don't.
The rate of suicide is higher in men than in women. Very few women kill themselves, and that's because they talk. And that's because women cry and they let it out. Once you cry, there's this weight that is lifted off of you.
Right.
But when you die, we will not laugh at you. Because that thing you're dying about, you could have prevented it if you had just cried.
Right.
So whether you cry or you don't cry, for those of us that laugh, either way, we will still laugh. So it's better to cry and live. Because a live dog is better than a dead lion.
Don't cry and then die, Abby.
After crying, no, if you can, there is a higher chance that after crying you will not die.
No, I said it's better to cry and live, stay alive,
than not cry and
go and die.
Exactly.
That's what you're saying.
And we will still laugh.
And we need to encourage men to cry. I think crying is very therapeutic. As a man, I've cried many times. I have no qualms about it. If you like, laugh. That one's your business. Maybe that's why at my age I don't have high blood pressure or whatever. So I fall into, on Sunday I will give God thanks and praise from the statistics you read. Because I'm one of those men.
Above 55 with no high blood pressure. Yes,
above 55. No, in fact, the last time the doctor looked at my blood, he says you have the blood pressure of a baby. I'm quoting the doctor. Your blood pressure is like the pressure of a little baby. It's what the guy said. So, and that's because I cry. I don't say, if you like, laugh till the cows come home. It won't stop me from crying. Who cares?
So men,
right?
You got it.
Yeah.
Put it on your list.
Yes,
you cry from 6 to 6:30.
Agata Badobi says exercise is the key. Thank you, Ma, for the information. Right. Lawal Haliman says exercise improves cardiovascular health and the weight. It also supports mental health. That's true. Reduces stress. It boosts mood and improves sleep. This exercise, I wish they had. When we went to school when we were younger, a lot of things were not put in the right perspective for us. We were not given the appropriate context. Yes, we did physical education. Yes, PE, right? You go play hockey, play run up and down, do, relay, whatever. I did all of those things. I ran 800, ran 400. I played hockey. I played tennis. But you see, the idea of like this show, where you sit and you dialogue, you give us case studies, you read statistics. Black men have this, that. When you're this age, your family history. Nobody. That perspective is not provided early enough.
We were too young for that type of information.
Well, are you ever too young for that? There's a certain. By the time you're in high school, you're a teenager. I don't think, honey, that you're too young.
You will,
especially when you give us these statistics.
Yes,
these statistics caught my attention.
Why I say you're too young? We probably did it, wrote an exam and forgot about it. These things should be emphasized and reiterated all the time. The reason why I'm in tune with things like that is because most of my friends now, we are at the age where most people are drinking one thing or the other, and you begin to see, oh wow, and a lot of these things can be prevented by regular exercise, by healthy diet and healthy lifestyle, cutting down on alcohol, cutting down on carbs. If you look at our diets, amala, poundo, semovita, rice.
So you and I are saying the same thing. So how come starting in that high school, do we have a call? or the person is okay, it's gone, right? So starting in high school and then continuous reinforcement.
Yes.
Right.
Continuous
so that continuous reinforcement is not even there.
You know,
it's not there.
A lot of times the continuous reinforcement is really around weight management. If you want to be thin, exercise. Which it is true, you will be slim and trim if you exercise regularly. But you know what? That's not really the goal of exercise. Yes. The goal of exercise is to be healthy and fit, not to be skinny. So you can be there are some overweight people that don't have any health conditions, but they look fat or they are fat. There are some very skinny people that have diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol. So regular exercise is not about looking slim and trim with six-pack and all that. I know some people that have died on the treadmill and they had six-pack with flat stomach. So the goal of regular exercise, like I said earlier, is to stay healthy and fit. You have to be consistent. It's not about I need to look prettier so I can wear a bikini. Nothing wrong with that. Look pretty, wear a bikini. No, I need to be muscular and wear muscle shirt. That doesn't necessarily mean you're healthy. So, moving on from exercise, diet. Healthy diet is very important. Okay, there are certain things that we need to.
Sorry, excuse me, let's take a call before you. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, sir.
Okay, we lost that person.
This is Alima.
Go ahead.
Please call back. So, the statistics here says, try cooking at home more than eating out. You know, because why is it important to cook more at home? You know what you're eating. You bought the ingredients. You prepared the food.
Okay, they're giving us a signal. Is there somebody there? Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Hello, sir.
Hello, good evening. Are you there? Okay, they're not there. So you prepared the food.
You prepared the food, so you know the ingredients that are in the food, you know, and you can look at the labels of a lot of foods now come with, you know, the fat content, the carb content, which one is saturated fat and all that. When you go to a restaurant, you just say, I want fried rice, I want dodo. You don't know the kind of oil they cooked it with. You don't know the types of ingredients that are there. So, you know, if you don't know how to cook, even if you're a man, please learn how to cook. It's never too late.
Let me just emphasize that, please. All right? That is a very important. Look, if you're a young man, please learn how to cook so that even when you're single, you're living alone, you don't have to eat out all the time. Once in a blue moon is okay. Like my wife said, you can cook your own food and know what is going into that pot. Right? I don't cook. I don't know how to cook. I wish I had learned how to cook when I was a young man. One of my big regrets in life, right? And our sons, you know, Chike, Chidera, you know, we've made sure that those guys are like chefs, right? So you if you're a young man out there, please don't make the same mistake I made. I didn't know any better. That's why we have this show. So I'm confessing that to you. Don't be like me in that area. Go and learn how to cook, right? Please, go and learn how to cook. All right, honey, I just wanted to throw that in there because, you know, it's one of those areas in my life and I look back, I say, wow, I wish I could go into the kitchen and just make my own food, myself. Cut the onions, cut the veggies, you know, look at the proportion and dish it out on a plate myself and sit and just, I made this food myself. You know, sometimes I'm just really jealous of you folks that go into the kitchen, you can cook, and I'm looking there like, man, I'm just a stranger. Anyway.
It's never too late, guys. If you're listening in, it's never too late.
Oh, my God.
As long as you can stand on your own 2 feet and you can hold a knife You can learn to cook. So in terms of eating healthier, cut down on things like red meat, beef. They says you should cut down on things like butter, and you should eat more of fish. It has to be fresh fish, plants, vegetables, fruits. And something interesting here, flaxseed. I got introduced to flaxseed earlier in the year. And
what is flax? Somebody may be wondering what the heck. What is that?
Seed.
FAF.
FLAX as in
flax.
As in exit,
like flex.
Flax. Okay. Yeah.
Like flex your muscle.
But
yeah,
flax.
Flexing, right?
Flaxseed, one word, it's in the market, okay? My nephew buys it for me from Magodo or Magboro. As he lives there, and he chatters it for me, and I blend it, and I just put it in my tea, or I put it in I put it in hot lime water every morning. Flaxseed is very good for your digestion, for your blood sugar level, just for your general well-being. And then nuts, ground nuts, cashew nuts, almond nuts, very important to incorporate in your diet. So eating healthy is cheaper. A lot of people say, oh, fruits are so expensive these days. It is true, fruits are expensive, but guess what? They are cheaper than most medications.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The medications they've just skyrocketed. That's even if you can find them.
If you can find them, and they are not, expired.
I've been reading in the newspapers where, people who are ill, a lot of them are unable to afford the medication. Sometimes the medication is not even available. Lawal Ibrahim says, I'm joining late. I'm sorry. Lawal Ibrahim, never too late to join the show. You're welcome. Lawal Moshood Coyote says, good evening, man, sir. Lawal Ibrahim says, when we were much younger, we did it for fun, not knowing the real effect and how good it helps. I guess it's talking about exercise.
Yes.
I think we need to sign up for some classes with Hilda Bachi. The guy is talking about the lady who cooks. And Lawal Ibrahim says flaxseed. He's able to, he got the spelling. Yes. So Lawal, you have an idea of what this flaxseed is, eh?
Yeah, so he says it's right. He says when we were much younger, we exercised for fun, not knowing the real effect. And that's what I'm saying, that parents, if you're listening to the show, teachers, pastors, brothers and sisters, anybody listening to the show, exercise is not just for fun. It's not just, to make you look good. It is to be healthy, and it has to be consistent. It doesn't have to be anything strenuous. I don't do anything strenuous. I just walk and do simple aerobics, dancing. My older brother, Dr. Charles, he says you could just dance. You could turn on
that's good. That's good for me. I'm a dancer.
You could just dance for 30 minutes.
Yeah, I dance,
put on
man.
your best,
can boogie, man.
Your best mix on YouTube is free.
Yeah.
Once YouTube knows the type of music you like, it will just develop a playlist for you. Dance for 30 minutes. If it's praise and worship you like, dance for 30 minutes. If it's the Afrobeats.
The Afrobeat,
If it's Afrobeats you like, or R&B, put it on. Just dance for. You're not in a dancing competition, so don't let anybody laugh at you to say
they will laugh at you.
Why are you twisting like an earthworm that they poured salt on the back? Don't, as long as you're moving, and some of some people have smart watches, so you count the number of steps you take in a day. You just need to keep moving. And guess what? A doctor told me recently that sitting down for prolonged periods of time without getting up and moving is as dangerous as taking drugs.
Like hard drugs, you mean?
Yes, has taken hard drugs. So let me repeat that. Sitting down for long periods of time, depending on the kind of job you are. I'm an accountant, right? So I sit behind my computers and I've made a mental note to always get up every 1 hour and walk to the next office and ask for some stupid thing that the person could probably have emailed to me. Just that discipline of getting up and moving. When you sit for prolonged periods of time, your blood circulation, your blood is stagnant. It doesn't circulate as fast, as fast as it should.
I get it.
You begin to develop lower back pain. And for women, if you find yourself develop, I know this is men's health week, but let me just throw that in. If you find yourself developing a lot of, frequent, urinary tract infection, sometimes you go and pee and it's painful, sometimes blood comes out of it. It's not because you have some communicable disease. It's just you're not getting up frequently and you're not drinking enough water. So sitting down for prolonged periods of time is as dangerous as taking hard drugs. You need to get up, you need to move.
Right. Interesting. Well, we're coming to the end of this amazing show. It's been a great one for us here on the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. Maybe we should recap what we did today, right? So thank you first and foremost to the audience here on social media. Lawal Ibrahim, Lawal Moshood, Halimat, Lillian, and everybody else that joined us, really celebrating you guys today. All the men out there, fantastic, man. Awesome guys. Shout out to all of you there, fathers, brothers, sons. Yes, my brother, Izuchukwu, you mentioned him. Kudos to him in Los Angeles. Great man, and just fantastic. So today we talked about men's health, and just to recap, a couple of things. Number one, just do that health checkup once a year. Please. I do mine. In fact, I must do it once a year. There's no doubt about that. Right? And the older you get, there are even certain specific tests you should run, especially if, you have some genetic, there's some history in your genes, right? The doctors will tell you by gathering that information my wife was talking about, the family history, right? And secondly, we talked about exercise, very important.
Sorry, black men are also more predisposed to prostate cancer than white
prostate
men.
Cancer,
yes.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that's once you are a particular age. Is that 50 or 55?
Yeah, the PSA test, is it 50? We're not doctors here, but I know that you have to run that test at a certain age. Yeah. At a certain age, you must have that test done every single year. And sometimes,
twice a year.
Sometimes, even if that age is 50, if in your family, in your lineage, somebody died of prostate cancer, you should, I'm not a doctor, but doctors have told me that you need to even start earlier running those tests.
Okay.
Just like if you had somebody die of colon cancer, you need to run that colonoscopy, earlier than usual, my understanding from the medical guys. So just, getting that history and making sure. And, you humorously talked about a man in the U.S. who says he's not going to go to a doctor. I think he's doing himself a great disservice with his family as well. His wife should really push him to come along. You got to go. We talked about exercise, all right? Frequent exercise, being deliberate and intentional about it. We talked about diet, watching what you eat is very important. And, just so forth and so on. Even mental health issues. We didn't really touch that a lot. It's something that we should also...
No, we did at the beginning when you talked about men, sharing.
Okay.
Sharing their thoughts, their feelings. Don't bottle it up. You need to talk to someone.
And just you were telling me just before the show, about how some organization brought, a psychologist to come talk to men in celebrating International Men's Day. I think that when a man has a problem that, he feels like is overwhelming, he needs to talk to somebody. And specifically, maybe he needs to talk to a psychologist, talk to a medical doctor, because men see shrinks. And I know in Nigeria and Africa, there's this whole stigma around it. Who cares about the stigma? Like you said, nobody needs to know. It's not your business. It's nobody's business. This is your business. You got to take care of your health. And if you need to see a shrink, if you need to see a therapist, you need to do that to take care of your life, take care of your health, and take care of the people that love you. They want you alive and healthy, right? So it's so important for men to understand that, right? That's a whole show on its own. Why a man will not go see a therapist. A lot of times when we do marriage counseling, the women approach first to say, there's a problem in my marriage. And one of the first questions I ask is your husband willing to talk to me? Because if the husband is not willing to talk to me, then that counseling is not going to work. A lot of times men don't want to talk. What is this man going to tell me? He doesn't want to talk to nobody. So it's the whole thing. It's a big one. It's really a big one. Apart from the physical health, the mental health for men is such. You talked about men and suicide. The suicide is more prevalent amongst men. Tells you that the mental health issues for men, they're more, they're more serious, obviously, right? Anyway, so maybe we need a part 2 on that, right? Anyway, you want to bring the show to an end? It's time to go, honey.
Yes, so thank you for being with us and sharing your Friday evening with us. I'm sure you had lots of other things you could have done with your time, so we don't take it for granted that you share your Friday evenings with us and Friday afternoons in other parts of the world. So this is the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show and the sidekick, Azuka Onyia.
I thought you were going to say Chike and Azuka Onyia.
No, it's your show.
We have to add your name.
The sidekick. Not Chico.
I thought you wanted to say side chick. I was confused though. I beg, don't put me in trouble though.
I'm just the sidekick here, supporting.
Anyway, if you are the wife and side chick, I won't be in trouble. You are one in all, Abby.
I do. Yeah.
Sidekick, right? All right.
And we just want to thank you for joining us this evening. The goal of this show is to change one life, one family at a time. So shout out to all the men. Happy International Men's Day. And, even for the women that are playing men's roles, shout out to you too. Happy International Men's Day.
All right. Well, thank you so much. We're going to catch you next Friday, 7 p.m. West African time. This is the Chike Onyia Speaks live talk show. Good night from wherever you're tuning in. Good afternoon. God bless you. See you next week.